yeah, I mentioned in the last video that there was a lot of things that we learned from New York that I've used New York as my benchmark to start to implement more positive change in my life. So when I got back, I mentioned from Ida that I learned how to really slow down with my life and be more in the moment.
Yeah.
And so I picked up this book in the bookstore recently when I was out, and it's called, and I really recommend reading because I just finished it. It's called The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins. And it's an amazing book. Like I got it last Sunday and I just finished it yesterday. So I finished like 250 something pages, and it was by far the best book I've ever read. It's a self-help book, but it really goes into how do you live more of an abundant lifestyle, how to be more happy in your life, how to have more control. I know, Ida, we talked about this last time. I mentioned to you about like being more, it teaches you how to be more of a work in progress.
Yeah.
And I remember you talking about that last time. And when I read this book, part of what she teaches about is that, every day you get up and you look at yourself in the mirror, and you're not really always happy with what you see, and you're always criticizing and judging yourself, especially if you're working or you're playing a sport or you're working out or whatever. You always like keep elevating your goals, and you let that consume your life where you start to be too hard on yourself.
Very much,
And I was just want to talk about that because I think that we both came away from New York learning something about each other and learning about how we can make our friendship stronger.
Yeah. No, it's that's a really good. I'm actually gonna check her out. Never read the book, but I will definitely, by how you're Andrea's explaining it, it seems like a really interesting book, because I do agree we are a work in progress, right? And sometimes as humans, like myself in particular, right, we tend to be very hard on ourselves. It's like your brain is like on autopilot. A lot of times it's like, you have all these countless lists of things that you are subconsciously like thinking like, okay, this is what I'm not doing right. Oh, why did I do this? Why did I talk this way? Why did I look this way? Did I hear this wrong? Am I thinking? And it's just like, it's insane. Like sometimes it's like, we need to give ourselves a break for a minute and be like, and pause and be like, wait a minute, let me slow down. Let me slow down and calm down a bit, because all those voices inside our mind is just like distracting you also from seeing also the things that you accomplish in the week.
And part of things, and like we were saying, part of what she talks about, and I don't want to give the whole book away, but
spoilers here.
But I want to mention, like, part of what I started to try to do now is, she obviously, it's in the title, she tells you how to live a high five life, right?
Yeah.
Which involves you kind of getting up every day, and looking at yourself the way you are out of bed without, you're not going to shower yet, you're not going to do nothing yet. You got to look at yourself the way you are, because your initial first reaction is always going to be tearing apart yourself, saying, oh, I got to fix this, I got to fix that, I don't like this, I don't like that. But you got to like she tries to teach you how to change that mindset, where instead of seeing yourself, oh, I'm ugly, or oh, I don't like my nose, or I don't like my chin, or I don't like my size right now, you always like, you have to flip it. She teaches you about how to flip it. So you instead of looking at yourself and saying all this negative crap, you flip it into saying, I'm a work in progress. And also something about yourself. It's called mantras. You gotta tell yourself a mantra, so that way your RAS system, which is a system in our brains that tell us and allow information in, and we'll look for things in our daily lives that will confirm whether or not that thing is true. For instance, if I tell myself I'm horrible at walking or whatever, or like I'm horrible at talking, then my RAS system in their brain's gonna go in, it's gonna look for examples in our lives that's gonna say, yes, that's true, yes, that's accurate, and it puts a bad spin on yourself. So the new mantras I've been trying to tell myself are A, I'm resilient, and B, I'm a work in progress, because that allows me to live a life where I can be okay with my mistakes, I can be okay with my imperfections, and especially for me, being in like the work culture, I often find that we compare ourselves a lot to other people that we work with or our friends or whatever. So it's just trying to like change the mindset of who you are, and allow yourself to be more in a state where you can be free, because that's just one part of the book. But I don't want to get into everything else. But me and Ida has some kind of I think similarities on that, right?
Yeah, because I know in my faith, right, there's a passage that says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? So pretty much it's in similarity to what you just explained when the lady gives you an exercise in terms of like reprogramming your mind, you know, in terms of like you have to speak to yourself, and then it's not just like you're speaking, you also have to believe what you're saying in terms of like, yes, I am resilient, right? And then through that habit, right, you become that. And then things start, like you said, start proving around you, like, yes, you are resilient. Yes, you are this and that, right? So it's like, it's a reminder, just like, you know, what we feed in our brain, what we feed in our mind about ourselves, right? We eventually end up becoming.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, you know, people could call it affirmation, you know, some people could call it mantras, you know, and, you know, wherever you are, it's one of those things, it's like our brain, the way it is structured, the way it is designed, it's fascinating. And to just know that we don't even utilize like not even 11% of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know, it's
fascinating.
It's so beyond like
it's fascinating how you really can change from, again, what I got from the book is how fast you can really change your life by just changing your mindset of things. Because again, my teachers have always said to me in school, you know, 90% of life is given, 90% of what happens to your life is what happens to you, it's given to you, right? But 10% is how you react to it.
Yeah.
And that 10% is, you know, such a small percentage. It really impacts the way you view yourself, your life. Again, so many of those aspects of in that book have made me remember parts of things I've asked myself, like, oh, why is this happening to me? Why is this just me for, right? Why does it feel like I'm going through these difficult periods, different things in my life?
Yeah.
But what I've really learned is that after reading the whole book and agreeing with Mel Robbins, you know, hearing her story, like, she was a lawyer who, right after she finished graduate school, you know, law school, she realized it's not what she wanted to do. It didn't make her happy, it didn't fulfill her, but she still did it for a little bit because she also had to make an income and support this family that she was just starting. But she started to realize when she went to a talk show host, I think when she was at an Oprah show, she was in the audience and she really felt like, this is exactly what I want to do. Like, I want to inspire people to live a life worth living. And the interesting thing about what she does is there's no formal training she needs to be a life coach, right? It's all things that she's been through, she's experienced. And to be honest with you, like, I was literally speechless at stories she said in the book about areas in her life that she's encountered, and, you know, it's just amazing to know, like, these things actually happen to somebody, right? And I really was taken back by just how she's able to motivate people to, like, follow your dreams and get out of that chitter chatter. Because again, we spoke about guilt in the last video about, you know, feeling guilty about saying something and speaking up because you're afraid of someone stepping on someone's feet. But it's like, what's more important, that hurting that person's feeling or making yourself uncomfortable for a long period of time, right?
Or even like leaving that person a bit in the dark, right? It's like, is that fair? You know, obviously you have to use your own best judgment. You know, when is a good time to bring it up to them? You know, sometimes you might be in a person's life, you know, yes, you're there for the good times and it's great, but also you might also be in that person's life as well to, you know, implement certain things, right? To also, like, maybe see things in a different way that person doesn't see it, right? And, you know, you also have a different point of view, right? And it's good to have that, you know, especially from a trusted source, where you don't just, you know, it's always happy and dandy, but then you have a person that could keep you grounded and be like, hey, you know, I really do appreciate you. I really love you for who you are and everything, but here's this area that I'm noticing, right? So it's like, you know, fighting that people pleasing, you know, attribute. It's tough because, you know, a lot of us, we grew up in environments where we have to people please, right?
To fit in, to belong, and
or even like to satisfy your parents, or
and
you
know
have
what?
to do certain things. It's like, I know I need to get good grades if I know I'm gonna get a better treatment somewhere or somehow, So you learn that, but you don't understand that that could be very detrimental to your own health, right?
And the bullshit thing about that is we've been doing it since we were born. Because since kindergarten, you've been always trying to fit in and belong, and you lose yourself because you want to be with the clan, and you got. Again, there was a story that she talked about, especially girls who, when they're getting ready for prom, it's a big deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's a big deal how you are looked at, how you're perceived.
Exactly.
Obviously not for guys, because, who gives a crap what you wear, but, she talked about in the book about her daughter going to prom and it being this huge ordeal about what she was wearing and how she was going to be looked at. And she didn't even pick a dress that she liked because they would happen to just be what the group wanted.
Exactly.
So we all follow.
It's like pressure.
We follow these rules that we had no part in making, and that creates this like restriction on people. And it's like, in a life where we have already so much restriction and what you can and can't do, it's like this book made me realize how like unnecessary that is. Especially when it comes to things that you should like.
Exactly. And you do yourself and the world a disservice, because it's like you are short-circuiting yourself in a sense, whereas you were created, with these unique gifts, with this uniqueness that it's not replicated anywhere in the world. Even if you have a twin, it doesn't matter. Even if you have triplets and you guys are identical, it doesn't matter. Everyone carries this uniqueness about themselves that no one else in the world can duplicate. They could copy if they want to, but it's not going to be the same because there's only one of you. And for you to hide yourself in that way, where you're trying to be like everyone else, you're stealing that from
that offering you give to the world.
The offering that you give to the world, because you were created for something so unique and so special, right? And by unique and special, I don't mean you have to be like this superstar or anything. No, it could be just this great personality or this really genuine person, But we won't be able to be exposed to that because you are out there trying to be something that you are not, and we never, and then sadly for folks who gone under the grave, where we never were able to even explore that from them, right? So it's like for us who are still living and still going, day by day, having that privilege to live alone, just having life alone, is beyond a miracle.
And what is that? And what is that? That singer. What's his name? I forgot. Pitbull. What does he say? He has a song out called "Every Day Above Great is a Great Day." So I think that's what you're getting to. But even what you were saying earlier about everybody has a gift. I remember Martin Luther King used to always say, not everybody can be famous, but everybody can do greatness, because greatness is determined by service. So everybody that has a quality in themselves is doing a service to the world. And whether it's you're entertaining somebody, whether it's you're helping somebody, whether you're a problem solver, whatever it is that you do that brings people happiness or helps somebody, that's a service.
That's a service. Even if you're just listening. Oh my goodness.
We need more of those people that just listen.
We need more people who are listening, than talking, and that's for us. We need listeners, we need talkers. It doesn't matter. We need every one of you guys, right? So so hiding yourself, making yourself small so you could fit in. We understand the pressure. We all have been there. Trust me, it's everywhere. In school, at work, in your own family life as well, like relationship. It's everywhere. It's one of those pressures, like if you've lived long enough in this world, it exists, and for people who are free and able to be themselves despite of it, whether they're liked or not, it takes a huge amount of bravery, and I applaud those people, and it doesn't mean that I have to like who they are. No, some people, you're not for everybody, there'll be people that you don't know why you just don't click with. It's not you, it's not them, it's just
It's interesting because
you guys are not compatible. Like,
you find people in life that you've become friends with who obviously don't live the way you live,
Exactly.
but you always find like them to be inspiring because maybe they're able to live their life freely and not give a crap. And that's one of the reasons why like I always love New York, because New York is a place where I always said to you, remember, everybody kind of fits in. Everybody just goes in New York.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what you wear, who you are, how you look. Like, it's just everybody seems to just fit in and work in New York.
Yeah, it's eccentric. Like, you will find everyone has their unique style, right? And it's one of those, it's beautiful to see, you know. If you have a unique style, own up to it. You know, it is who you are. If you like your blacks, you like your blacks. If you like your colors, you love your colors. Like, we could all coexist in the same space without one being superior to the other. You know, if you're a beige babe, then you are a beige babe. you know, like, I don't know what to tell you. If you are colorful, you are colorful. If you're conservative, you're conservative. If you're more expose, you're that. You know, it's just that mentality I find sometimes, especially nowadays, I'm witnessing it a lot when I'm in like spaces like on TikTok and on Twitter, where it's just like, it always feels like one has to triumph the other. It's not like we could both be different and both coexist.
Yeah, it's very true. It's like people are afraid to be themselves, and it's easier to copy somebody else because they work for them. But I think it's like, I think what's interesting is like when you go out in the world and you start to like be more who you are. And again, this book highlights it again, like, you know, your uniqueness is going to attract a certain type of people that are going to that are going to click with you, that are going to vibe with you. And this book just like, again, it just brought a whole level of like realness to what we were reading. And it was like, she does it in such a way where it feels like she's talking to you right in front of you as she's writing it to you. It's not like it's boring English. It's really interesting, and I really highly recommend it. But I want to ask you something, because after reading the book, you know, she kind of talks about, you know, what is your real dream? So I wanted to ask you, Ida, what is your real dream? You had to answer that question.
Freedom. And by freedom, I mean freedom to choose. You know, freedom of choice, freedom to choose whether I want to, I don't know, fly tomorrow and go to Bali, right? Or freedom, I want to work from home. Or freedom, I want to, you know, go out tomorrow or stay home, or even, you know, buy a home tomorrow. You know, just not feel restricted. The more and more I'm getting older, the more and more I appreciate having the freedom of choice to choose, you know. And if you have that, oh my goodness, it's a luxury. That's what I call luxury. Right? Not so much what's in your pockets, not so much what your bank account look like, more so, do you have the freedom to choose and to be who you want to be? You know? So it could be like, I could be a designer today, and then tomorrow I could feel like, I wanna do something different. You know, I wanna be a housewife. Who knows? Right? You know, it's not, you're not limited, right? You know, a lot of times I used to feel like, okay, there has to be a set way. Dreams have to look a certain way. But now I look at it like, dream could be anything. You know, it can evolve.
It's a god.
Oh my god. You know that sound that they make when they're like so close to your ear? It's like, oh shoot. No, okay. Alright, focus. Back. Oh my god, what were we talking about? My dream. So just have the freedom. Have the freedom to be as generous as I want to be generous. You know, and you know, and be like, laugh very hard, and you know, have a lot of joy in everything that I do, because like I'm living a life on purpose, not as a, like, you know, consequence. You know, you live because there's just so much vitality in you, and you want to share with the world and stuff like that. That for me is one of my luxurious dreams.
And I find for me it's like I don't know, and I've actually had this like difficulty answering that question when I read the book, because in the part of the book she asks, "What is your dream?" and take a minute and think about it, right? And I guess up until now, I've only dreamed when I was in school that I would get my job, and that I would do work that I like, and which is the architecture I'm doing. But now when I try to think, what's my next dream? I'm really like torn. Like I actually don't know. Like I'm actually stumped right now to think what's my dream in a year from now, in 2 years from now, in 5 years from now. Like I actually don't know. And I was talking with this with my mom the other day, and I said to her, I actually don't know what my dream is. Like I don't know what I want to do in 5 years, 10 years. I don't know if I'm still gonna be doing architecture or I'm doing something else. Well, like what would like I don't know. Like I don't know what my dream is, but I do know that. And what she said is, well, maybe you just don't know right now. Like
That's
maybe
true.
maybe it will come to you in a situation, in an experience. Like you just don't know, and maybe it's. And that's why I started trying to shift my mindset, because I used to always have to be that person that knows what's gonna come next.
Yeah.
Because I always felt like that gave me control of my life.
That's true. Yeah.
But because I don't know what's gonna be the next thing,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not really in control. And I don't want to let myself just go and just do whatever, because I like to know and pre-plan and have backup plans. But I really feel like you can have a plan, but it's always happened before that you have a plan and you have something in mind, but then it just happens to be changed, or God has a different plan, is what they say.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like it's okay to not know. And I think that's something I find, like, growing up in our generation, it's like we've been like induced to idolize, like you have to have this dream, and you have to know what you're gonna do from a very young age. It's one of those things, like you're literally bombarded with, like you have to know your purpose, you have to know what you want to do, you have to have a dream, you have to have this vocation. And it's like some people don't know it until they reach their 50s.
They don't.
Like,
and that was Kris Jenner. Kris Jenner did it. Kris Jenner didn't actually start her business until she was in her 50s.
Exactly.
Which means from that point, every up until that point, she's just been doing, flight. I think she was a flight attendant. I think she was just starting to just do grinding work to get, to get by.
Exactly.
And it wasn't until she like made it doing the show, and that's when she started to make her millions, and like all the fame and everything started to come. But I think that what's interesting is that hearing all these different stories, especially from that book, and from hearing other people, it's just the fact that, like, I think I'm trying to be more okay with the fact that it might just come to me when it's ready and when the time is right.
Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, because it's like you're not forcing it, and that's something that's very, like, one of my, like, biggest encouragement for you guys is, like, do not force it. Let's be honest. Like, I think we have this mindset, a lot of us, where it's like there's just this linear approach to success. Like, okay, by this time you should have, like, your life together, and this is how it's supposed to be looking like, and everything. No, it's not always the case. It is not always the case. We need to let go of that mentality of, like, okay, you should do this by this, or if you like this, then you should go for that. Like, I'm seeing, especially in the influencer world, where I'm looking at, like, I follow this one lady. She's a lawyer. Like, she's a full-time lawyer, and she does her fashion influencing and everything, and that does not take away from her profession. And she loves lawyering, and then she also loves fashion, and she will go to fashion shows, she will travel the world, she will also do brand deals and everything, but she still is a lawyer, and it's just showing us that it doesn't have to be one shoe fit, like, all, like, it doesn't have to be just that one thing and that one thing only. And I think maybe in our parents' generation it used to be like that. Maybe it was just like you had that one career or that one profession, and that's it.
Because there was no risk. Like, there was no time to take risks, I think, when you had a family or kids, because you need them steady income. Whereas, like, being in my 20s, I think, like, my dad always says, you got lots of time to make that adjustment, or like do those things that you want to do, because when you have a family or whatever, you're kind of it's a lot more difficult to take that risk. I mean, you can still do it, but it's just you're putting now your family at jeopardy if things don't work out right away, right? And I think that's the thing about the book too, is like being okay with all the the things that like occur in your life, because everything is connecting the dot
Exactly.
to the next big thing, right?
Exactly. And one thing I'm learning in this season in my life is that, you know, everyone has different timing in their lives. Like, you know, someone could be like, you know, you're looking at someone, it's like, oh my gosh, they're doing so much with what they're doing. It's just, that's their time. You know, that's their time to flourish. That's their time to succeed. That's that person's journey. You know, now, because before in the past, it used to frustrate me when people say like, "Oh, your time will come."
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean my time will come?
I've been waiting for freaking 10 years.
What do you mean exactly? What is that supposed to mean?
I got that many times too.
How come this person has 5 years and I get 50? Like, who's making these decisions? Like, do I need to make a special prayer? Like who is in the, like, you know, in the board meeting of this, like, your time will come? And I just in my understanding at the time, it just baffled me. Like, what do you mean time? Like, I'm thinking that if I put in the same amount of effort as this person or the next person, I should get the same amount of results.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like workout. Like,
exactly.
It's the same thing with working out. Like, I always would be in that position where I felt like I would do all the things right.
Right.
And especially when I was just starting off, I would work out. I think I'm doing all the things right. And I like other people in the gym, like, how come they're looking the way they look and I don't feel like I'm there yet?
Yeah.
And it would be so frustrating because I feel like I'm doing all this, but then I realized that, and maybe this applies to the same thing with life, is that and my dad would say too, you know, actually less is more.
Right.
Sometimes when it comes to working out, you know, they say 3 to 4 workouts is ideal.
Yeah.
Enough time to give your body that rest to, you know, to make those gains. But when I was going to the gym like 6-7 times a week, I was like, my body was never having the opportunity to grow or improve. So it was like, how could you see the change? So sometimes, like, you gotta dial back and just kind of scale back and do less is more, because that principle might apply when you just start to let go. And that's the biggest part of the book. She talks about letting go. Letting go of things that you can't change, letting go of the things that you can't control. All those things have to do with how you grow up, because when you're holding on to something and you can't, it's all resistance.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like a ball holding you back when you're trying to push forward.
And then you're
being yanked back.
yanked back.
It's like the same. It's like physics, right? Like you. It's all. Then when you can't let go of something, you can't improve. And one of the things she talks about is a tree. Like, if you imagine how a tree operates, a tree's got leaves, right? And we're in this season right now where it's fall.
Yeah.
So obviously the trees are releasing their leaves.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the leaves give the tree energy because the sun hits the leaf.
Yeah.
But as soon as the trees receive everything it needs, it's gotten from the leaf dries up and it falls. And that's how that's one of the ways that you look at life, is that we need to let go of things that no longer serve us, because we need to make room for new things to grow. Exactly. And that's the same thing with when fall happens, you got winter, so all the leaves are gone, and then when summer comes, making now space for new leaves, new things to come up.
Exactly. So, and letting go can look differently for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, letting go could be letting go of an ideology. You know, that
or an idea you have of yourself.
An idea you have of yourself, or even of life in general that's been, like, you know, limiting you.
Yeah.
Letting go of, like, you know, of trying to have it all figured out. You know, in some people cases it could be letting go of a relationship that's really not,
or a job,
or you know, a country,
friend,
I don't know,
yeah,
a friend. You guys know what, you know,
it's bringing you down.
It's pulling you. It's pushing you back.
Yeah.
You know what's that pull? We all know. Even though sometimes we pretend like we're like, oh no, like we deep down inside, each and every one of us, if we ever sat down with ourselves and be like, okay, let's keep it real. What is really bothering me? We know, our spirit know, right? What's really the issue? We don't want to face it, because sometimes it could be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
In terms of, like,
and difficult.
The truth. Exactly.
It's very difficult when you know the truth, but you don't
want to face
it, because you know that it's gonna change certain dynamic. But then, you know what? The thing that is interesting is that when you let go of those things, maybe something better comes out of it.
Exactly.
So it's always interesting to have that, like, concept of the tree and the leaf, because that's the same thing with everyone in life. You know, when you actually let go of that marriage or that job or that thing that's weighing you down, that's no longer giving you life,
Exactly.
then you make room for something better.
Something different.
Yeah.
And mind you, along the way, it's going to be painful. It's not, nobody's going to say it's going to be a walk in the park, It's going to be, it can be painful, like, admitting to yourself. So, like, one thing you want to make sure is that be gracious with yourself, be compassionate with yourself, and understand that, it's not always your fault. Yes, we speak of accountability in areas in our lives, but at the same time, you want to also be able to realize that it's okay. We make mistakes, we misjudge things, we misjudge circumstances, people, scenarios, timing. You might have thought that, okay, me starting this business would have succeeded, but end up not, doing very well, and it failed. It's okay. Like, don't be that strict juror that's like, yeah, you failed. Like, there's no second chance. No.
It's kind of like what we told ourselves when we started YouTube, like we said to ourselves that we're not taking the job of being the audience.
Yes.
We're not going to be the ones to criticize ourselves and reshoot something 50 times because we didn't like the way we look. It's like,
exactly. We'll let you guys be determine the judge of that. Yeah. If you guys find these contents like not useful to you and it's like, I don't want to hear it, or it's not fun, cool. You guys know, and we will get those feedbacks, right? And then if you guys love what we're doing and stuff like that, cool too. We will also get those feedback and improve, right? So it's one of those things. You can't be the creator of a content, also the consumer as well.
Yes.
Because then that starts to temper, like with the actual creation of what you're making, because you're consuming it. And at the same time you're creating, it's going to be a bit like, it's going to be, because you as a consumer, you're going to be a bit more critical, right, of what you are doing compared to someone that's not involved in the creation whatsoever.
Yeah.
They're just consuming it, and they're like, oh, I like this. Like, subscribe, comment.
Yeah.
Without you even asking, they would just do it because it's like something that they enjoy, right? And me as a consumer, it's the same thing. I may like something, and maybe the creator of that person is making it, and they're like, oh, I didn't know you actually enjoy this. I just made it because it's something I wanted to do, right? And I'm gonna like it. And same thing too with the the negative part of it as well. There'll be some consumer that don't like at all what you're doing. But the beauty of our day and age is that you have a choice. All right, sorry guys, our camera kind of died on us. Oh my goodness, so we're just gonna wrap it up.
We're gonna now enjoy our sunny
right,
day that we
exactly,
have
left, the sunset. We're about to do a photo shoot, so
you'll see those photos though.
Exactly, yeah, you'll see it.
So thank you so much for staying tuned with us and watching our video. Again, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and please let us know what your thoughts are on this topic. And if you guys do read the book, let me know. I'm curious to know how you guys took the book and how it impacted your life.
Yeah,
so,
I'm definitely gonna add that on my reading list.
And it's not a bad read. It's only 250 pages or 280.
That's good.
So I got it done in less than a week. So
Yeah.
it's a really good book. Keeps you in tune, and she's a great author. So check it out. And I'm sure we'll probably link it below. If you guys
we'll put all the details below, all the stuff below, so that you guys don't have to go far and look too far for it either.
Yeah. So thank you for watching our video. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.